he's probably going to have like 7 touchdowns for them this year. He's a good player. So, yeah. And how about that? Jeep says not only would he be a two-way player, but a two-way player from Mercer of all places.
What a story I didn't expect to see happen. But that's, again, like we said, there's always, I think there's one of these a team. Honestly, I think if we were in depth with any of the teams, especially even the good ones, obviously the bad teams have a lot of, the Jags have a lot of open spots, but you go to the 14 playoff teams from last year, there is a guy, 5th, 6th, 7th, undrafted free agent that is working his way into the starting lineup. What's crazy, though, is when it's not Wally Pipping because Aaron Banks is healthy. Hell, he's never even played a snap. He played some like kickoff.
Better career.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be funny.
I do think it's pretty impressive because they did try to give the job to Aaron Banks. I mean, they literally did. They just started him at left guard, and he couldn't keep it.
They basically were like, "We have no other. It's yours. Go take it."
Well, you know how the Tour Championship gives you a lead, right? Like Scotty Scheffler has a two-shot lead over everyone. That's basically what they give to Aaron Banks. We know you haven't earned this. You don't really deserve it, but we're just going to start you there.
And your biggest challenger will be the undrafted guy from Mercer.
Yeah.
We're going to put you next to Trent Williams, so, you'll have that. It should be okay.
He couldn't win the job. Well, it hasn't officially happened, but it feels. If you were a betting man, who would you be betting on right now?
I'd be betting on this guy, especially given the Niners, especially given that Spencer Burford's their right guard already, right? They basically treat some of their players the way new regimes treat other regimes' players. Like, hey, I didn't draft him. Not my problem. Which is a good quality to have. You just
think many Super Bowl contenders have basically their battery is, not counting the center, is UTSA, Mercer, North Dakota State. There's a lot going on right there in the and Harvard.
And
right
Harvard.
Behind them.
Oh, that's a good point. And then what? And Louisiana, Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, it doesn't get bigger until you go out.
Like Notre Dame and Ohio State guys, out of here. Louisiana and Mercer guys, in. AAF guys, in. Good news for the actually several things on the Raiders front. Belichick called the Raiders facility the Taj Mahal, and then they're joint practicing with the Patriots. Greg Bedard said the Raiders had been dominated on both sides of the ball. Patriots not moving the ball. Then he said it got worse. Worst offensive practice at camp. Mac Jones picked off to end an awful 2-minute. He was pissed. Run defense, the only positive today. The pass defense was carved up by Carr, by Adams, by Renfro. No Waller. Then J.C. Jackson, the report for the Chargers, the star corner. Ankle surgery Tuesday. Estimated 2 to 4 week return. John, you'll be happy to know the surgery was done by Dr. Martin O'Malley at the New York Hospital of Special Science. I don't know when all the doctors started needing to get their burn in these surgery stories, but things are looking up for this is a confluence of good things happening for the Raiders right now.
It feels like every story I ever read on the Pats is negative. I would say if you had to go the training camp rankings of like teams who could just be decent to good, they're by far last of definitely any team that made the playoffs. The internet has just shit on them for about 3 weeks. The Raiders should be better than them, right? In terms of they got better players. Josh kind of knows what those guys are doing. So that's a positive sign. I do think it's pretty big if J.C. Jackson's out for that game. I mean,
that's the week one. The Raiders play them week 1. To be clear.
I'd be a little surprised if everyone was healthy that J.C. wouldn't follow around Devontae Adams. And that is, I mean, they just paid him, right, $45 million guaranteed for a reason. He's got 57 million interceptions the last couple of years. He's a really good player. They signed him to be a lockdown corner. And now he has ankle surgery? I actually think it's a pretty big deal for the Raiders. It's a double whammy. You beat the Chargers, there's a decent chance they lose the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football, and all of a sudden the Chargers are 0-2. I mean, I've said over and over, I think they're one of the best rosters in the league, if not the best. If you can beat them, they're going to be an underdog. Just it's at Kansas City short week. Anytime you're traveling on a short week, Chargers better find a way to win week 1 at home, or else you start 0-2. I know it's not a death knell with 17 games, but
and they play the Jags and the Texans and the Browns right after.
But if you start 1-1, it's much easier to be all of a sudden you're 4-1 than if you're 0-2, you're 3-2. But also, that puts a ton of pressure when you're 0-2, right? You got no margin for error.
Also, it's your home game, whatever that means against the Raiders.
Which Raider fans will say it'll be our home game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. And the next time that you play him is on the road. But I mean, I think they came into the year thinking like we got not just J.C. Jackson, but one of the best 1-2 punches with Asante Samuel on the other side.
Derwin's healthy now.
Derwin. By the way, follow Devontae or follow Hunter Renfrow?
Did you see how much? Did you see how dead serious he was? Like when Ryan Clark tried to make fun of him, he did not even like, bro. I'm not. This is not a joke. I honestly, I don't know that much about Derwin James. Besides, clearly when he's healthy, he's really good. I thought that was just a pretty impressive. Like I'm not just saying this to say it. Like this guy, you fucking watch this guy play.
Talks like an Alabama guy, not a Florida State guy. You never know. You know, are they a little gloosy? Him and Jalen Ramsey were on the same team, remember? But
that's a pretty good
defense. Would have played
backfield
for Jimbo. Like they were probably pretty damn good, right?
I mean, Jimbo's been sneaky pretty good recruiter, huh?
So I think that's like, to me, that's what's special potentially about this Raiders offense is just that it's not just, you can't just follow Devontae, because if Devontae wasn't there, there'd be no question that J.C. Jackson's following Hunter Renfrow. Even if J.C. Jackson followed Devontae Adams everywhere, Hunter Renfrow might still have 8 catches for 120 yards, right?
Yeah.
Like, no, you're right. That is a bad game to lose J.C. Jackson for. Potentially 2 to 4 weeks, they say.
I'm pretty excited for that game.
Well, remember we talked. Isn't this the number 1 game of week 1? Like just the actual matchup?
I think so.
Other than the Thursday game.
Thursday night game's elite. But yeah, on Sunday, I think it's the best game. I also think you couldn't go lock of the week because, I mean, either one of these teams could win. But if you tell me that the Raiders are like +2, I mean, that might just be from a value standpoint, pretty good bet early on. They're gonna be the underdog in this game. It honestly just might be a Chargers -3, right? Who knows? The line could change a little bit as we get closer, depending on injuries and who's playing. But I would guess Chargers -3 by week. By the time we get to kickoff, that number. Let me look it up right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like they're going to have a lot of just public money, you would think, on them. But I don't know. Two or 2.5. I think Raiders as an underdog, if we get to that game and J.C. Jackson's not playing, is an interesting bet for sure. Is Bill going to give Josh McDaniels a bunch of feedback after the joint practices? He might.
Yeah, it's weird. If you leave Bill on good terms, it seems like he likes you. So the Niners right now -7. God, I love that. We got
lock of the week, early discussion.
Raiders +3.5 right now.
Well, is that line going to go up or down? Right? Because like if J.C. Jackson now, I don't know that J.C. Jackson's moving the line necessarily, because he could be back for the season for week 1. But what do you think is more likely? That line becomes 4, or that line becomes 3?
That line becomes 3.
Even
agree. 2.5 by kickoff.
Maybe we should.
I think the moment you open your ankle, like when I see 2 to 4 weeks, I see you're out a month. Plus, you give a guy $45 million with an ankle. Are you rushing him back? Like ultimately, you signed him for the next 2 or 3 years, not necessarily just to win week 1, even though you don't want to lose week 1.